Before I get into the video, I'm going off the latest manga chapters, so if you haven't read the latest Attack on Titan chapters, there'll be plenty of spoilers. I looked online a few places to see what are all the arcs in Attack on Titan, and I saw on one website that came up with 7 arcs up to the Marley invasion. I'll be ranking them worst to best, which the first 2 up, I'm not a big fan of. The 7 arcs I'll be ranking and going into more detail is the Fall of Shiganshina, Female Titan, Clash of the Titans, Uprising, Return to Shiganshina, Marley background, and Marley invasion. I'll also have a little snippet of a video from each arc that were shown in the anime. 2 of the arcs haven't been made into the anime yet, so there'll be no snippets there. Without further ado, let's get into the worst arc. The worst arc is the Uprising arc.
Shit, they predicted our every damn movement!
The Uprising arc is the first arc where it's humans versus humans in the walls of Eldia and the history behind the royal family. We don't see much of the Titans, which go figure, isn't that the premise of the show? I don't like an arc that is missing out on the whole premise of it. Levi's uncle, Kenny, is a huge character in this arc, and I really don't care for him too much at all or his motives. Dude was all over the place and it made no sense of his relationship with the royal family. But I guess it just showed that everyone liked a taste of the power of the Titans. Also, Historia and her family and background were huge, and I didn't care much for that at all either. The family as a whole were annoying, and Historia was all over the place getting brainwashed and whatnot. Also, it was really weird seeing Eren tied up the way he was, crying, and having Historia almost eat him. The few things that were good from this arc was seeing Levi go in on Kenny's squad, and knowing what happened with Eren's dad when the Titans broke through the wall. I was always curious on what happened with him. He completely ghosted the show and we had no clue what happened to him. He seemed to be a huge character due to being his son, and having that big secret in the basement. So not much good came from this part, and it's really stupid that humans were fighting humans in the walls when the Titans were the main enemies. Why kill each other when the Titans were already doing a good job at that? Also, Historia was just getting really annoying to me. I liked her better before she admitted to who she was, and especially when her scumbag father comes into play. It really did nothing for me when he transforms into the largest Titan yet. I feel for many this was their least favorite arc, and no matter how they did this arc, it's just really hard to get behind one where it's lacking the main thing in the show, Titans. The next arc up is the Marley introduction and Marley background. This arc covers right up as the Eldians see the ocean, and Reiner and the Beast Titan and others retreat back to the homelands in Marley. And it ends right before Eren and Eldia start their attack on Marley. This is pretty much the perspective of the other side of the walls, where the Titan shapeshifters have lived. I didn't like this arc because of 2 reasons. It introduced the worst character in the show, and it obviously didn't have anything to do with the characters we got so accustomed to seeing all the time. Gabi's worse than Sakura, let me get that out of the way. It's not even close. Yeah, Sakura is useless, but Gabi's just way too annoying and strong for no damn reason. She just keeps getting worse with time. There isn't a moment where I'm like, maybe Gabi's alright. Everything about her character is trash, and it didn't take long for me to hate the character. Nothing ever resonated with me on that piece of shit of character. Anyways, before this becomes a whole Gabi rant video, hell, that could be a whole video of its own. This arc is definitely necessary because we need to see the other side and its perspective, and I get that. But for me, I can't enjoy it because it takes screen time away from everyone from Eldia that obviously we got so accustomed to seeing all the time, like Jean, Sasha, Connie, Armin, and whatnot. It is what it is, but I'll definitely say that the arc was needed, and there isn't much I'd fix from it, just really didn't care for it. It's cool seeing how Reiner has changed, and now he's fully committed and loyal to Marley. We see him go through so much, and he starts to realize after being back in Marley for a while, that Eldians weren't devils like he thought they were. I like that he's holding this guilt with him, and we finally see how others see Eldians, which is wrong because Reiner is proof that they're decent human beings. What I really liked seeing was the fall of Titans and how technology has caught up to them. The beginning of the show portrayed them as gods that couldn't be touched, but it seems bazookas and bombs can surely demolish them. If Titans were in any of the current wars right now in the world, they'd get wrecked in a matter of seconds. And also, screw Gabi. The next arc is the return to Shiganshina.
Their lives have meaning because we, the living, refuse to forget them! And as we ride to certain death, we trust our successors to do the same for us! Because my soldiers do not buckle or yield when faced with the cruelty of this world! My soldiers push forward! My soldiers scream out! My soldiers...
Now we are getting to the good stuff. This is where we get to see the battle that determines the fate of Eldia. Eren and the scouts versus the Colossal, Armored, and Beast Titan. It ends with Eldia sort of winning, I guess, and then there finally being a sliver of peace. The craziest part was seeing Erwin and Armin on the last breaths of air and having to pick one of the two to live. One of the most crazy things of the show was just seeing a huge character like Erwin dying. Both of them had their motives. Armin wanted to show Eren the sea, and Erwin wanting to know the truth of the world. The battle was over, so they were finally going to find out the truth, but Levi decides to let Erwin die with his men. I'm fine with the decision because it made complete sense. Erwin doesn't deserve to come back to life due to all the horrible stuff that needed to be done from his end. But man, even Hanji's assistant died, and he was in the show for a good bit himself. Erwin gave a killer speech, and you really can feel the remorse and despair from all the soldiers just going out on a suicide mission. Each fight was crazy between all three Titans, and there isn't anything I would want to be done different. I was glued to my seat watching how all three fights went down, and even though Eldia won, what was the cost at it? They gained the Titan power, but they lost a huge amount of the remaining soldiers, and hell, this is only the 8th time we see Reiner die. He only dies I think like 10 more times after this. The man couldn't even kill himself, that's how much plot he had. Hell, that's why it's called the Plot Armored Titan, right? Also, how the hell do they keep making Levi even more badass? Dude bodied the Beast Titan in what is probably one of the most satisfying beatdowns from the protagonist. Mustang's beatdown on Envy was more satisfying, but this was definitely a close second for sure. Next up is the Marley Invasion arc. This is the last arc I'm covering, which begins with Eren talking to Reiner and Falco, and ending with the Eldians leaving in a blimp and Sasha dying. I won't cover the Jaegers arc, because it's still going on as of now. The arc is the tables turning. This, the first arc, it shows the Titans breaching the walls and getting thousands slaughtered for it. A bunch of innocent bystanders dying for no reason. It was priceless seeing Reiner's face when Falco brought Eren down. Falco was confused why Reiner was shitting bricks. Once Eren had a cut on his hand and we found out where they were, it was GG's in the chat. This was up there with Levi manhandling the Beast Titan as a most satisfying moment. I love seeing all the OG scouts growing up, and I think they glowed up more than Leaf Ninja when they grew up. Armin and Jean looked like bosses. We also see the Warhammer Titan, which is the last and latest Titan shapeshifter. I love how smart and mature Eren got, which was a complaint for some. Eren was able to deduce that she was in a crystal, which brought the most strategic move ever. He used the Jaws Titan to break into the crystal to gain the powers of her, which sucks because we still don't know the memories he saw when he devoured her. I'm still waiting, to know what he saw and what influence it had on him. But it sucks because we end the arc with Gabby killing Sasha, which I hated her before this. This was just the icing on the cake. We all knew one of the three between Sasha, Connie, and John were going to die. I felt Sasha would die because John is, almost as important as Mikasa and Armin at this point. Man has went through the most change in character development in this show. And Connie has a story behind his mother being a Titan, which he almost tricked up Falco into jumping into her mouth. It hurt seeing Sasha die because she was too pure, and hey, who doesn't love a girl who, loves devouring food as much as the next person? F's in the chat for Sasha. Next up is the Clash of the Titans.
Yes! Right here, right now! We settle this once and for all!
We are now in the top 3 arcs. This arc is where they see Ymir actually transform into the Titan, who Krista really is, the coordinate, and the best scene to come in the show, the betrayal of Reiner and Bertolt. The top 3 arcs were so hard to rank because they were all amazing. But the reason this is one of, in the top 3 is because of the betrayal. It's a shame because Jean was my favorite, but Reiner was my second favorite. And my dumbass didn't even know they were the Titans, so it hurt seeing who they really were. I didn't even know Annie was a female Titan. It hurts even more when Eren was fighting them and he said that he would give everything to become half the man that Reiner was, and that Reiner was his hero. Eren really said everything I felt, and it was hard to accept that Reiner was a traitor. Everything he did seemed to be for the greater good of everyone, and he was like the big brother of the scouts. At this point, we had no clue what their motives were and why they were acting like soldiers. There was a lot of mystery behind the two, and they really did the manga chapters justice with the anime presentation of it. Hell, we even see the smiling Titan again, which I was wondering when it was going to be reintroduced. And I guess, I don't know, in the anime it was a little weird when Mikasa was about to kiss Eren. Definitely made it very weeby. But this is the most important Titan that wasn't a Titan shapeshifter, which the smiling Titan was. And man, who would have thought Hannes would have died and how much weight his death would hold? Reiner really got a bunch of character background and development. It was hard to decide on whether I liked him anymore or not. He was a true villain because I really felt like I hated him after the betrayal. I mean, he was the big brother. Eren looked up to him and all of them did. He seemed to do so much for the greater good of humanity, and then we find out he's a traitor and we just don't know why yet. The second best arc I favored was The Fall of Shiganshina. It's always hard to hate a show's first arc. The first arc always captivates what the show's about, and it gets you sucked into it. This arc ends where they introduce the female Titan. The first episode really drove home what the show's about. It's extremely gruesome, and many important characters die. We see right off the bat, Eren's mom gets snapped in half, and eaten with Eren watching, and her blood get on his face. They really gave an action-packed episode on the first one, which is insane. I watched so many shows and read so many manga when the main character was a pacifist, so it's a breath of fresh air to see one just wanted to kill, and that's their drive. I mean, we have Naruto, Edward Elric, and Mob. They're all pacifists and they will never want to hurt anybody, but Eren, he's different. He is so driven to killing the Titans. But we really got to see the madness that came from the invasion, and even get to see Eren become a soldier. Eren kept to that drive of killing Titans long after the first arc. And they really didn't hold back on showing all the villagers getting slaughtered, or in the show in general. It is a great debate for whether you'd rather be in the walls safe and just call this life, or think it's a cage and it's worth dying to be free of the walls. We would like to believe in Eren's ideals, and then shortly we see the scouts who are for freedom coming home feeling worthless. So it really does bring, maybe we do need to stay in the walls if this is what it means fighting for freedom. My favorite arc is the female Titan arc.
The move's on this way. She's like a damn athlete. We are so screwed. Can you think this through? What? She's protecting her weak spot?
The female Titan arc covers right before they head out and right as they beat the female Titan, and we see the colossal Titan hidden in the walls. We know Eren was a shapeshifter, but then we figure out that there are more of them. It's obvious that the female Titan was one, and it leads us to speculate that the armored and colossal Titans were ones too. This arc might have brought the worst deaths in the show. Seeing the Levi squad get eaten, kicked, and stomped was a horrible sight to see. The worst was seeing Petra getting, go figure, petrified, and seeing Annie stomp her into the tree. It doesn't stop there because it gets even more emotional. We see them dump the bodies, which one of them was Petra. This is the first and only time we see Levi get emotional, and it's very subtly done. I really love the whole formations and strategy Erwin came up with, and this is the first arc where we really see Erwin as a monster, and see how he believes hundreds of casualties are fine if it means for the greater of humanity. We see a question where Eren wanted to save the scouts who ended up getting wrecked by Annie, and where Erwin let Annie transform in the walls and get plenty of people killed for it. Also, Jean is my favorite character, and we see how much he's changed. He joined the scouts because he knows they have to fight, and Marco's words really got through to him after his death. He joins, but he knows he's weak and scared, but the man's a boss. I love the elusive dodge he made when Annie tried killing him, and since his attack in Titan, nothing is ever really a victory. They beat Annie, but then she gets trapped in a crystal, so they don't really have anything to show for it. That's pretty much Attack on Titan in a nutshell. You win, you don't really win, and thousands die for it. Just to recap from worst to best, the arcs go Uprising, Marley Introduction, Return to Shiganshina, Marley Invasion, Clash of the Titans, Fall of Shiganshina, and the Female Titan arc. I left out the Jaegerus arc because it's still going. Thanks for listening, and leave a like and subscribe for more Attack on Titan, My Hero Academia, One Punch Man, and many other manga content.